Please get Janet off of my TV screen. Her and Jason can go. I watched this episode and I'm pretty much under the conclusion that these persons have nothing going on in their life. I, for the life of me, could not understand, are we still talking about what happened in Santa Barbara for someone that was sleeping, for someone that was drunk, for someone that was doing no harm? Why are we still talking about this? We ended last week's episode where we saw where they basically had the dinner apology with Nia, and of course, the minute she left, they started to do the same thing. This week's episode, I was a bit taken back because when I thought it couldn't get any worse, it actually did. And for me, I was just. We already said it. I think, Jasmine, you are clearly not over what happened off camera with Danny regarding you and your girlfriend, and rightfully so. It happened to you. I'm not here to tell you get over it, but for the sake of the show, get over it. I don't know how many other ways can Danny apologize to you for you to move on. I don't know what more exactly you're looking for from him. But me, and I'm sure the audience, we don't want to hear this going on. And we realize that we're now on the second half, going into the second half of the season. I don't want to hear anything more about this foolishness. Like, it's so far beyond. I don't know. So we got where we saw Danny. He did his meetup with Jasmine and Michelle finally again, where he decided to hear out Jasmine regarding her feelings towards, well, not even that. I'm so sorry. We didn't even get there. So we see where Michelle met up with Michelle basically has her concerns regarding Aaron despite the drama that's going on. Apparently he feels like he wants to take a break when it comes on to the relationship with them. And for me, I was pretty much over the whole her and this person. Like, I don't understand why it is. I'm just not a fan of Michelle at this point. I'm not a fan of her. I think there is something sneaky going on when it comes on to her, and I just think there is something more than that she's telling, and she's just trying to push the blame all on Jesse. And I think there is more. There is more to the story than what she's pretty much basically trying to spin here. Because I don't, for the life of me, care much for her. Basically, I honestly don't. We see where we had Jax. He did his video saying that he's pretty much his video again from rehab of how he has. I don't know. Jax is given very rehearsed. When I watch his videos or whenever they flash his videos on the screen, I just do not, for the life of me, understand exactly what am I supposed to be taking from this video. I don't know what more I'm supposed to be taking from this video. Like, it's just giving me stage rehearse, and I think this is just the thing with Jax. We have all known Jax for many years from Vanderpump Rules, and him being on this show and now trying to take accountability and everything. I just do not feel like he is really taking accountability for his problems. Like, it seems like he's just someone that loves a camera in front of his face, and whenever there's a camera in front of his face, whatever narrative he decides he wants to go with for the scene, that's the narrative he's going to give. I don't get any authenticity from him when he's sharing his feelings, how he's feeling about anything. Everything to me just seems very staged when it comes on to Jax, and him going to rehab, I just think it just makes him look better. So he wanted to do this at the time when he knows filming was beginning. Because if he did it off season, we may not believe, or we may question it pretty much. But him doing it in the appropriate time when they started filming again, it's like I do not see anything remorseful when it comes on to Jax Taylor. No, we did get where we saw Jason, Luke, and Danny. They all met up, and I must say, this scene really actually triggered me. It was a huge trigger because I could not understand why it is that Jason, who is supposed to be the quiet one, the one who doesn't say much, the one has never had many lines to say from season one, I couldn't understand why it is that he was so intrigued and bothered by this situation. And then I remembered, oh yeah, he's married to Janet. He is going to feel that way. He is going to be behaving that way because look at his wife. She loves the drama. She loves instigating. She loves the world spin of it all. She loves all the drama and hides her hands and then try to pretend that she is innocent in all of it. So of course it makes perfect sense to why he would be going so hard when it came on to Danny. I would be as frustrated as how Danny was because I am here explaining myself to you and you are literally not giving me the opportunity to talk. You weren't there. You're just going off of what your wife said about this tequila being shotted in the closet. You weren't physically there. You didn't see it yourself. And for you to be going as if like you know so much of what really went down, this is where I was saying, okay, so I guess this is the story this season. This is the narrative we're trying to paint this season when it comes on to Danny and Nia. We have nothing else to talk about. Last season was good because we didn't know these people, so everything came raw and felt more what we wanted. But because this season now, they literally have nothing else to talk about. Jax isn't there, so Jax isn't there creating some chaos for them to really dive into. And Brittany is already a train wreck. And we have Jesse and Michelle, but them alone cannot be the entire storyline for the season. So let's dive into Nia. And I don't know, Jason just doing Janet's bidding, basically doing her dirty work. It felt fake. You could see it's not necessarily his personality or his character, and then him trying to stick to the script or stick to the line by continuing saying what he wanted to say and not necessarily giving Danny the opportunity to say what he wanted to say. And then at some points he was literally like, at some points he felt like he was contradicting himself. There's when I said, okay, that awkward Jason, like you're totally losing me. You clearly don't know what it is you are talking about, and I see this is who put you up to it. It's your wife. I don't believe this was anything. I'm not saying he wasn't concerned, but the way he was going so hard at Danny, it just felt to me more like this is Janet speaking. This doesn't seem like Jason speaking. And he did share that, of course, he says that Jasmine feels still some type of way when it comes on to the whole situation that happened between them. And that's another thing. Like, Jasmine is going around telling everybody how she still feels off, she feels uncomfortable, but she still has not necessarily said this to Nia nor said it to Danny. So I don't see what exactly Jasmine is looking for when she has not even shared those feelings towards the persons who she's still so upset with. So rightfully so, Jason did said it to Danny, and Danny decided, well, I guess she's still in her feelings about certain stuff. He probably has to have another sit down with her, which is good because I'm glad that it was not something that was done in front of the entire group. We then we saw Jesse, not Jesse, Jesse, Kristen, and Luke. They all met up, and we saw where basically I guess Luke is stepping up this season, where he pretty much had to stated what happened at the little meetup with Jason and Danny. And of course, Kristen, which has been very nonchalant this season, I must say, thus far, but we see that she's going to get very activated in the ending and also the second half of the season. We see where Kristen now gets upset, rightfully so, because she sees what these persons are doing. And anything involving Janet, Kristen is going to get very worked up regarding that because she knows how Janet can get. Now, in terms of her stating that allegedly Jason will go out and not wear his wedding ring. Now that is something we need to dive into because Janet loves to pretend like her shit is clean, ain't nothing going on over in her camp, and she loves to call out other person's behavior. And coming to think of it, I don't remember if we ever have any sort of personal storyline from Janet. Because last season she was pregnant, so all she talks about how I'm pregnant, I'm pregnant. So she starts the drama, but she reminds people that she's pregnant. Now this season, I still haven't gotten anything personally from her regarding what's going on in their life. I don't know what she's doing. I don't know even know if she works. I don't know anything about her other than she is just a shit stirrer. So of course Kristen stated what she stated. We could see that Luke's face look like, look, I don't want no parts of this. I don't want, why are we doing this again, Kristen? We know what got ourselves in this problem last year. Why are we doing this again? But again, you know Kristen, she doesn't hold back. She defends her friends, and at the same time, what she did say last year about Jesse and Michelle, it wasn't necessarily a lie. Jesse confirmed that. So her saying this now regarding Janet and especially with Jason, allegedly, let's see if this is true or factual, but we have in persons stepping up saying, well, this was shared when some friends of theirs were no longer friends and they shared all of this stuff. And clearly there's more, but Kristen is, I guess, is us holding back. And it was very interesting, and I'm hoping to see where this goes because we somewhat saw where Janet and Kristen came off like they were trying to mend the fences, but clearly they didn't. So we see where they're not necessarily on good terms. And here we go, Kristen. Now, one thing I did not enjoy seeing on the screen was pretty much Lala and Sheena. I'm still upset. I'm still not over how they behaved last season of Vanderpump Rules. And seeing them on my screen last night, I was saying to myself, bravo, now is not the time to bring these girls back. Like, you could have given us like a 3-year, 4-year break from them because we clearly know they're not coming back to Vanderpump Rules. We needed a break. And you pushing them on our screen already, there was no need for them. I don't care if they are friends of the group. I don't care if they are out of a job and need a job. I honestly don't care. I just don't want to see them on my screen because they're going to bring that toxic mess, which is already a toxic show. They're going to bring that toxic mess over into the show and stir the shit up into a whole entire pre-produced season. Now, of course, we saw where how Lala is acting like she's holier than thou, and she's so stepped out on the other side. We saw where Jesse went and greeted her, and then she started to go into Jesse because of stuff that, of course, she's more loyal to Michelle, and Michelle has shared stuff. So she's rightfully defending Michelle, and of course, Sheena was just standing there because, she needs some camera time. She has no current show going on the TV, so other than her YouTube channel right now, she needs the camera time, and she just stand in the scene. She didn't really say much. She probably did and just cut it out because it didn't make any sense, but she didn't really say much, and I think we could do without them on this show, but what can we do? Now, of course, we saw where Jason found out that Kristen said some stuff about him. Zach basically says doesn't want to reshare, whatever the case is. And of course, Jason is now more bothered. And I'm like, okay, now you feel like something is coming out about you. He then sits down with Janet. And this is where Kristen and Luke sat down. And then they did share that, well, we heard a rumor or whatever it is that allegedly when you go out, you don't wear your wedding ring. And of course, this is not necessarily surprising to Jason, but he was like laughing it off. So, I thought it was something more serious than that. So I'm like, no, it was just like side-eyeing you, Jason, because I'm like, what more did you think these persons were going to say about you? Why is it that you are so worried if it was something else? So that is something that we need to look into. But before we get into that, Janet, of course, laughed it off because what else would she do? And now she starts saying this is typical Kristen, will deflect and whatever the case might be. And I don't feel sorry for Janet. I knew the minute the season started based on how she was behaving off season on Sheena's podcast, acting like she's so much of a saint and they just edited her wrong. And I feel like she just saw herself, saw the reception, and then she came back on this season trying to come off very clean and like she's innocent, and then she just couldn't keep up the act anymore, and she's slightly going back into her true ways, and I don't know exactly what it is that Sheena sees in her as a friend, why you talk so highly of her and make it seem like it's just editing that has her wrong. Cause I'm not sure editing is putting the words in her mouth with the foolishness and fuckery that she says. So I don't know what exactly it is that Sheena thinks that Janet is that we the audience are just not seeing. But yeah, that was pretty much that. And of course, Brittany then decided to gather everybody around to make some grand announcement to say that she just found out that Jack signed a lease to some house. And Brittany, I know it's your party, but that was so uncalled for. I don't see what the entire party needed to hear about this. I don't know again if the producers told you to do something like this because they just found out this information and they want you to bring it on camera, but it was just so weird and awkward. I can't see myself being at a party, enjoying the party. Well, if it was even that fun, enjoying this party, and then the host decided to make this grand announcement for people to gather around. And then when I'm gathered around, I'm just gonna hear about your toxic husband that is buying a house next to wherever. I probably, if I was there and that was what your announcement was, I would have just kissed my teeth and continue doing what I'm doing, because I don't see why that needed an announcement. That could have been a different scene. That could have been a one-on-one with someone else at the party. Didn't need to be a big group thing. And I guess no one was really talking about Britney at that party. It was her party, but no one was really talking about her because everybody else had their own side conversations going on and she literally had nothing else going on. So I guess this was her perfect opportunity to shine the spotlight back on her. But it fell flat. And I don't care that Jax is living next to Schwartz. I honestly don't care. We all warned you before, and I guess everybody, yes, you have to go through life where you have to make your own mistakes, but you got red flags prior to this wedding, and you still got married, and you had red flags prior, I'm assuming, to having the child. You still have the child. Thankfully, you had a child out of the situation, but I can't feel sorry for Britney because I think she causes this on herself, and stuff that she was even saying where she thought that him going to rehab, he would have come out and work on the marriage. So I'm like, even after everything that went down, he checking now into whatever, you're still in your head saying to yourself, you're hoping that they would come back out to work. So you're still hoping that this marriage will work out. You're not learning anything at this point. Like, you are just skating through life thinking that nothing is going to hit you, and you think that you're going to basically, everything is just going to be all rainbows and unicorns. And for you to be going through so much when it comes on to him prior to getting married, prior to having a child, to after having a child, to what he did to you last summer, and I'm sure some other stuff that we, the audience, aren't aware of, for you to still think that he would still come out and be this changed person, for you to think that this marriage will work out, I cannot feel sorry for you. You don't seem like you're learning anything in this situation. So I don't see why it is you want us, the audience, to have sympathy towards you. It doesn't make sense. But that is Britney for you. She doesn't seem to make sense most of the times. We then got where they met up. I think she met up with Schwartz, and I think it was Michelle or someone else was there, and she then shared that Jax hasn't paid mortgage on the place from May, and when they shot that scene, it was in August. So mortgage wasn't being paid on the house from May, and now she's more upset because, of course, it's her credit on the line. The fact that he leased somewhere else and he's not even paying the mortgage on the house. The fact that you weren't necessarily knowing that he's very cuckoo upstairs, you weren't keeping a track of the finances and make sure the mortgage at least is paid. I don't know. I don't know what's going on up there in Britney's head, but maybe she can explain it in the further episodes or on the reunion, but I don't see what's happening. I don't know if she's just milking this thing for a storyline. because I don't see why it is that you're so blah when it comes on to certain stuff. But that was the episode of The Valley. Let me know, guys, what your thoughts were on the episode. Remember, guys, to like, share, comment, and also subscribe to the channel. It really does help a lot. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, y'all.